Before we begin, thank you very much to JM Autobot for joining my Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. Thank you guys so much for the support. It is literally the reason I can keep doing this, and the fact that you guys want me to keep doing it means the world to me, so I'm going to keep doing it. And today, it's a Monday, which means we're going to get to a news roundup, and is becoming the catchphrase of the series. I'm going to try and keep it shorter this week because we don't have a whole lot to really dig into, just some notes and some beats that we need to cover. So the first one is that we actually have an announcement that Pulsecon will be happening at the end of the month. And yeah, the only real thing we have out this, they've announced the typical things, brand new reveals, etc., etc. But the big thing out of this is that we have the name of the next Transformers line, which is Legacy Evolution. So basically we're confirming that Legacy is likely going to follow the same trilogy format that we've got with War for Cybertron and etc. But in this case, it's still, we still have that idea that it's going to be more random, more touching on like every aspect of Transformers. It looks like they want to stretch this out into potentially like the 40th anniversary of the franchise, and and make sure that like Legacy includes like tail end Legacy, the year 3 Legacy. I feel like that's going to be where all the crazy from like every direction, like from every Transformer series, I feel like that's going to be the blowout. So the beginning of it is going to be announced at the end of the month, and we're going to find out what we're going to get in Evolution. So look forward to that. All right, so let's get into a lot of our in-hand images for the week. For starters, Magnificus, who's gotten a lot of playtime on my channel lately. We've got the full in-can gallery now. You can see the head sculpt is basically the same as Perceptor. It's just it has a mouth plate now, and it still looks good. Like, it's a black and red repaint. What's not to like? So not a whole lot more to talk about. I do like that Rumble has a spot there, like that actually works. So yeah, Magnificus looking fine, looking absolutely fine. I still don't know if I'm actually going to pick him up or not. I feel like I need to, just because of how often I've talked about this toy. But images are up over on TFW 2005 if you're on the fence and if you want to see this toy in greater detail. Next up on our photo galleries, we have the new Studio Series Crosshairs. This is the one I was super curious about because, the toy in its stock photos didn't look good to me. This toy in general, the design never really looked good to me, which upsets me because it's green and black, and like that, like bright green and black. I love that color so much, and I feel like this toy is just designed as an excuse to just not have to engineer the car and just put it all across his back as just one big kibble, and oh no, it's part of his trench coat. But it seems like there's no waist articulation to the figure. And then there's this shot. There's this shot where it looks like the entire figure is hollow from the back. And it seems like the car kibble takes up far more bulk of the toy than the actual robot mode does. I don't know. This one just looks like... I don't know. This one just looks bad. This one just looks really bad. I mean, the sculpting's fine. Looks like he has some articulation, but he's definitely missing a waist joint. He's definitely... I feel like that design is definitely hindering it a lot. Also, because this is a stolen toy out of China, the reviewer who got their hands on it, you probably can guess who, theirs does not have a spoiler on the back. Which is one thing I kind of warn about these early reviews, is that you might not be getting an accurate look at what a toy is supposed to be. Like, okay, fine, it's missing a spoiler, that's a cosmetic detail, but it could be anything. It could be a gear that's pivotal to a gimmick inside. It could be as accessories. It could be an accidental use of a different head. You don't know, because it could be anything that comes off the factory line first. Or anything that gets left off when someone took all the disposed ones home and built the one you're looking at now. So, be cautious when you're watching those reviewers, because they don't always have a exact to what you're going to get in the store product. But yeah, to the product itself, like, okay, fine. The vehicle mode looks fine, and I think that's about all that looks fine about this one. It's a letdown. But we're going to continue into Studio Series looks, because, by contrast, Hot Rod looks really, really good. He's a little bit smaller in scale than his previous toy. Well, depending on which you consider his previous toy. He does get a little bit taller than his last Studio Series appearance as that Bumblebee retool. He looks really, really good. Aside from, like, I'm starting to see how the toy transforms, but it looks like it integrates so well. You know, and it seems to keep a pretty small backpack compared to a lot of Studio Series toys. And the vehicle mode looks great. Yeah, there's no good look at the backpack here. I think this is going to come down to just how much backpack kibble he has. But it does look like they do a fair job of actually keeping a lot of that across his arms. I don't really mind it there. It looks like he carries it fine. So, really want to see better in-hand shots of him, because he does look like he's going to be really, really good. Like, it's one of the rare Studio Series toys that I actually am, like, genuinely curious about. Alright. So, not quite an in-hand, but we got a lot more about Beast Wars Inferno, or the legacy version of Inferno, thanks to a designer's Instagram. Can I actually, like... Yeah, Mark Mayer here on his Instagram page. If you're not following Hasbro designers on Instagram, you're missing out on a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and a lot of how the toy comes together. We're also learning designers over at Takara who are involved in these. So you can track, thanks to this, we can actually track the lineage of recent toys and actually come up with, like, a library of this designer made these toys. So, like, if you like how a particular toy is engineered, you can find more of their work and potentially find toys you would love that you never thought about. It's a super cool resource, and you get a whole bunch of, like, behind-the-scenes stuff about how the toy was designed. Like, you know, having to bulk out the ant, having to combine his rear thruster and his typical flamethrower gun. And yeah, they tried to... See, the concept art I did to kick off the Maniac did it from memory as soon as I realized it's time to dip back to episodes for further detail. Nice to know they are trying. We're also learning, like, the designers who are involved. Like, they mentioned the ZBrush sculpt of this toy, which is how they get all that, like, animalistic detailing to the skin texture. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this toy. Last from the Season 1 Beast Wars cast, but it looks like they are definitely going all out on him. So, very, very cool. Love the behind-the-scenes stuff. Love knowing, like, what goes into the toys, because it makes me appreciate them a lot more than just, you know, like, just another toy that's sitting on a shelf. Alright, weird product time. So, if you ever wanted to sit on Optimus Prime, don't take that in a weird way, but you actually have the option now. So, these are by and a seat. And yeah, they are premium gaming chairs, Transformer edition, with a whole bunch of pictures, whole bunch of artwork, symbols, etc. You can basically just kit out your gaming chair based off of typical, you know, your go-to Transformers. This would make more sense to me if Transformers actually had a good video game out right now, or had a good presence in the video game market. That's one of my criticisms of the franchise right now. It's the one area where they can't quite seem to put everything together. But I know, it's just a computer chair. Like, we call it gaming chairs, but like, we use it just as a normal computer chair. Like, this is a gaming chair. It's not a good one, but it's a gaming chair. I wouldn't... At a $400 price tag, this is a little bit rich for me. Like, it looks like the same design that I would get off of a super cheap chair from Amazon, like a sub $200 chair. And it feels like I'm just paying $200 for a bunch of Transformer stuff to be stitched into it, which is not going to last very long. It's going to wear out because, like, I work in this chair, so my chairs don't last. So I can't really see myself grabbing this, but hey, for the enthusiast who really, really needs to lay on Bumblebee, I could definitely see this being an appeal. So it's out there in the world, if it's something you're after. There is a new teaser trailer for Transformers Earthspark, and it's pretty much what you would expect. There's a few new shots and clips. It's mostly what we've already seen. They're still just kind of teasing the same thing. We do get more of Thrash in his like scanned robot mode with an actual like vehicle mode parts hanging off. So that's a little bit better than some of the earlier previews, but not a whole lot going on other outside of a little bit of interaction between the humans and their robot companions. So we're getting closer to the debut here, and I'm getting more and more excited to see how the final product turned out. Because, yeah, everything I've seen from Earthspark has got me interested. So keep a lookout. I'm sure once we get closer to the actual release date, we're going to get a ton of stuff. So keep an eye out. I mean, if you're not paying attention, like, it does definitely look good. All right, rumor mill time. And by rumor mill, I mean like one of those photos that absolutely turns out to be real. So this little solicitation came up advertising a repaint of the movie masterpiece Bumblebee Optimus Prime, done up in Nemesis color schemes. I'm not a fan of when they do this, because I know they're just going to do Black Optimus Prime for the sake of doing Black Optimus every time they have a mold. But I'm not a fan of this particular one. I'm not a fan of doing it to Masterpiece toys. Like repainting Masterpiece toys for the sake of repainting them, I've never really agreed with. I think it feels like to me it feels like it cheapens the line, you know? You know, because like it's supposed to be like the top of the top as far as Transformers go. It feels like it should be above like shameless repaints. Now, I understand a repaint is important because it's a lot more profitable than the original run of the figure. And yes, it's a black convoy, so people are going to want it. But it's not like we ever saw this design or will ever see this design in these colors. So, yeah. I don't necessarily agree with the practice, but for the people who want it, I'm not going to begrudge you. It just seems like... No, I don't know. It just seems like a pointless repaint just for the sake of repainting something. I'm never really a big fan of those, but it's going to be the thing. It's a rumor, but these always turn out to be true, so keep an eye out. All right, a couple weird things came up. So apparently some company made mini Walker erasers for Transformers. These are little dollar store things, so don't expect them to be like super rare or hard to find or like something you find at Walmart. No, these are just little printed character erasers for Transformers. Not very well printed. This poor Bumblebee on the left looks horrific. He looks like he's been in an auto accident and still transformed afterwards. The gimmick to these is that they actually do have a range of articulation. The arms and legs actually move like an old 90s toy. Or I should say an 80s toy, because there isn't even knees or elbows on these things. I don't know how this functions. Because I know it's an eraser. Like rubbing an eraser wears things off of it. So how do you have an articulation level when it's just going to get worn off? I don't know. Unless there's some mechanic inside I do not understand. I'm not going to be buying these just for the sake of understanding. It's just a weird thing to keep an eye out on if you happen to be at a dollar store. And if you happen to be one of the oddity collectors, because there's plenty of them out there. Speaking of, there's a brand new Transformers Lunchbox on the way based on the 86 movie. Old school tin lunchbox, soup cup on top and all. Very classic in design. I know lunchbox collecting is a thing. There's some very valuable lunchboxes because this is one of the earliest like licensed promotional things, you know, and not just for like kids properties, but like like sitcoms, like sitcoms and TV shows in the 70s and 80s would get things like this, and it'd be like the only merchandise. So like if you were a fan of, if you were a fan of a particular TV show and you wanted to carry something of it to work with you, this was about the only thing you had available. So it was yeah, so it's a thing. Lunchbox collecting is a thing. Again, not something I would go for. I don't really need a lunchbox in my life, but it's out there for people who are actually interested in such things. I just think it's interesting that retro collectible stuff like this comes up for Transformers, because this feels like something that should have existed in 1986. And we're going to end off today on a really weird story, and technically it's not Transformer-based. Nope. So they have announced, Kit's Concept has actually announced that a God of Flame version of a Macross Super Valkyrie is on the way. And doesn't it look familiar? So this company has straight up taken the Jetfire color scheme from the G1 toy and applied it to a traditional fast pack equipped Valkyrie toy. So yeah, limited to 1,000 pieces. This thing is ridiculously expensive, as a lot of Macross things tend to be. However, it's probably as close as we are ever going to get to a masterpiece scale, or like a masterpiece style G1 Jetfire in toy accurate form. Now, there are things to note about this. Let's see if we can go up here a little bit. So it's coming out in November, and it's going to be between $210 and $230, and it is 19 centimeters tall, which I think is somewhere around 7.5 inches. So it's really not that big. It's definitely not masterpiece scale if you're hoping this is going to be in with your masterpiece toys. I'm looking at my Jetfire right now, my G1. It's definitely going to be shorter than that. Also, from what I've heard, Kit's Concept does not have the best reputation when it comes to build quality, so I'd also be really suspicious of how this turned out. I think I've handled Macross stuff in the past where, like, man, like, this is, for a company that sells stuff at such high premiums, this feels like junk, and sometimes it really was. I'm not saying that's going to be the case here, but, like, I'm hoping that for over $200, this is a super high quality thing, and you're not just charging me a lot for a few LEDs being included. But that is going to be the end of our news roundup for the week. Hey, look, sub to 20 minutes. I think that's an improvement. Thank you guys for watching. Keep an eye out. I've said that a million times in this video. Keep an eye out. Take a drink every time. Drink of water, by the way. Stay hydrated. This is a weird news week. Not a whole lot to really sink our teeth into, but some stuff I wanted to talk about. In particular, like, yeah, isn't it super weird that a new Jetfire toy is coming out and it's not a Transformer? So, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.